think the main thing India Today Group stands for is editorial excellence. That's the core belief of the organization, that if you produce great editorial content, the rest of the equation will balance. We look at market trends, intangible things, see how the economy is changing. We keep track of what is happening there and sensing that what is the information gap or need, and try and find the right publication or the right information to be provided, whether it could be a magazine, it could be a website, it could be a television channel. So we have the leading news magazine of the country for the last almost 25 years or more. We have the first, the leading Hindi news channel of the country, which has a viewership of over 50 million. We're leadership in the business magazine like Business Today, and even in our women's brands like Cosmopolitan, Good Housekeeping. They're all unique leaders in their own field. We always aspire to be the leader, and in most cases are the leader. India Today, both the country and the magazine actually have grown in tandem. And I think one of the reasons for the success of the magazine is the fact that India has changed so much, because magazines and news lives on change. When you go through a situation where the country is in a churn, there's a greater hunger to understand what is going on around them. And a magazine like India Today serves that purpose. My role has always been on the editorial side. As I said, I've always believed that editorial excellence is what really matters in an organization like this. And that's what I enjoy doing, and that's what I've been doing for the last 35 odd years. I'm looking at news lists, I'm looking at pages, I'm looking at front pages of say, the newspaper every day before it goes to press. India Today has traditionally been something which I started with, so I continue with that, hold news meetings every week, look at their pages. As far as the news channels are concerned, the wonderful thing about these news channels is you can sit and watch it at home and just make a phone call and tell them what's right or wrong. I have lots of screens in my home, I have lots of screens in my office, so I'm constantly on. The joke in the office is, the prime time is 1 a.m. as far as they're concerned, because that's the time when I get to watch a lot of the content. I'm very finicky in terms of detail. They invented a word in India Today called purification, like from my name Puri. Has it been through a purification process? I constantly want to change things, right? So that's the big thing, is they don't give it to him, he'll change it. So I'm changing things till the last minute because I keep thinking of better things, better ways to do it. And that's the thing about this profession, is that you're never happy, You always think you could have done it better. But the good thing is that you get a chance to do it again, because there's another issue coming out, right? Another broadcast coming out, another newspaper edition coming out. So that's the fun. It's all dynamic, which is the wonderful part of this profession. So although every kind of media will exist in its own form, but in the end, the convergence will take place in the digital form. And this means that content must be created also in a converged, synergetic manner, which is really what the India Today Group is aiming for, because we are in all various platforms. We are in a magazine, we have a newspaper, we have television channels, we have radio channels. All this content can actually be put across various platforms. Something very interesting is happening in news journalism. News has become a commodity. So news people will get anyhow, anytime, anywhere, without a problem. And news is of course being changed also by users becoming so connected. So there's user-generated content, which sometimes can even be better than normal journalism. So it is going to be more and more driven by people who have opinions, who have expert opinions, who have knowledge, who have domain expertise, and build a core competence in a certain area. People want to know more about the event because of you. Otherwise, the normal event of how, what, where, when is known. It's the why, right? And perhaps the how, which is going to be important. And that's where journalism has to go. Television broadcast journalism, I think, is going to change dramatically with new technology. The technology is basically being able to film broadcast quality video live with very small devices like your iPhone or equivalent to an iPhone. This is going to change the way content is generated. And this also means that people other than journalists can also generate content for you. Citizen journalism may just arrive, and that's going to be really interesting. So it's a very exciting future for journalism and for media, multimedia as a whole. The whole industry is going to change completely. Well, I mean, the whole India Today organization, the India Today group is preparing for this by moving into firstly physically in one place, right? Putting all the journalists from the various platforms like TV, radio, newspaper, magazines, all together in one place. And this will be the starting point for this kind of synergy, where people will start looking at the fact that unless they have an expertise which can be transported right across all the medium, they're not going to be that useful to a media organization. For a media organization or a channel or a magazine or a newspaper to survive, it has to produce some really exclusive content which nobody has and people are willing to pay for. You know, there's one thing about me, I never look back. So it's very difficult for me to say, okay, this is my proudest memory and this is what happens. I am just genetically tuned to look forward. And I always think of what's the next new thing I can do, right? And that's what excites me.